the hire of Redick, but also this entire coaching search and how the Lakers got to Redick ultimately, I think highlights the Lakers are one of the most dysfunctional teams in all of the NBA. You know who they reminded me of during this entire coaching search? The New York Knicks of old. The LOL Knicks. The embarrassment of the league Knicks. The unrealistic Knicks. The unserious Knicks. You know who I'm talking about, right? When you think New York Knicks, and it's not just the last 2 or 3 years, but we're talking like the decade before that, where every single year this team stunk. But every single offseason, they sold to the fans, they sold to the media, they sold to the national NBA audience. We are getting the next big star on our team. And it would be a run at LeBron James. It would be Kevin Durant. It would be Steph Curry. It would be Damian Lillard. The Knicks are going to make a big-time push. They feel confident they can land a big-time star. And what would happen? Each and every year would go by. Each and every star that they were rumored to be pursuing would go elsewhere, and the Knicks would be left as one of the laughing stocks of the league. They would get mocked, they would get made fun of, and they would just look like fools. And that's what, to me, like this Lakers head coaching search, they reminded me of the old school Knicks. Just completely incompetent and completely dysfunctional. Like you look at the hallmarks of what makes an organization in sports dysfunctional. I think there are 4 benchmarks that you could ultimately say, hey, look, if your team doesn't have this, that leads to them being dysfunctional. One of the 4, I should say, is no leadership, right? That's, I would say, one of the main characteristics of what is a dysfunctional organization. And I ask you right now, who the hell is leading the Lakers? Who is their main decision maker? Is it Jeannie Buss? Is it Rob Pelinka? Is it LeBron James? Is it Kurt Rambis? Is it his wife, Linda Rambis? No one has any idea. No one has any idea of who the hell right now is making these decisions for the Lakers. And that's problematic. When you don't have leadership, you don't have one united vision, that means pulling in all different directions, and you can't get a true answer. Like even just how this coaching search went. Are they trying to play for now? Are they trying to play for the future? Nobody has any idea because there's no leadership in place directing the future of the organization. That leads to characteristic number 2 of what I would say is a dysfunctional organization. No plan. Right? The organization has no idea. Do they want to win now? Do they want to win 5 years from now? How do they want to do that? There's no plan. There's no idea of how they want to do it. I ask you, look at the Lakers. What is their plan? Are they trying to win right now? Are they trying to rebuild for the future? I have no idea, in part because who the Lakers pursued this offseason said that they're trying to do both at the same time. And that makes no sense, and that is not the way you run an organization. Like, they first were rumored to be interested in hiring Ty Lue, Clippers head coach, before he got his big-time extension and really before he turned them down. That would indicate, right, that if you are trying to hire Ty Lue, that you are trying to win right now. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, maybe get a third star in there. You don't hire Ty Lue for a rebuild. You hire Ty Lue to win right now. Okay, he says no. Who do they move on to? Dan Hurley. What would the hiring or what would the interest in Dan Hurley signal? It would signal to me, at least, that you are now in rebuild mode, right? You have identified one of the best coaches in college basketball right now at identifying talent and developing it. So that would, to me, say, okay, you're not as much prioritizing the next 2 or 3 years of LeBron's career. You are looking at really post-LeBron, how can we ensure that we are still competitive? And you do that by getting a guy who knows how to identify talent and try to develop that young, inexperienced talent to make a team. The interest in Dan Hurley signals you are trying to win in the future. Well, when he says no, and now you ultimately land on J.J. Redick, I mean, the guy has no coaching experience, but if I had to guess right now, are they trying to win in the immediate future, or are they trying to play the long game here for 5-10 years from now? I think they're trying to win right now. Right? I think they are trying to maximize the last, what I would say, 2 years of LeBron's career. But the whole, to quote Michael Scott, stip, stap, going back and forth of, well, let's win right now. Let's actually build for the future. Okay, let's win right now. It all adds up to no plan for the Lakers. So they have no leadership. They have no plan. I think two key characteristics right now of a dysfunctional organization. The third, no control. We learned in real time the Lakers' interest in their head coaches and basically the future of that if they were in or out because everything was leaked. Right? Whether it's the interest in Ty Lue, whether it's the entire Dan Hurley saga, or what felt like even longer than that, the entire interest in JJ Redick, everything was leaked through sources. So different members of the organization are telling different media members what is going on. You have no control. If you have just people throwing information out left and right, trying to maybe influence the decision making towards, their camp by leaking it out and seeing what the public reaction is, you have no control of your organization. And then finally, you have unrealistic expectations. This Lakers roster is not very good. It is not one of the 6, 7, maybe even 8 best rosters in the West alone. Yet, with JJ Redick now at the helm, even with Darvin Ham and Frank Vogel before that, the goal is championship or bust. There is no calibrated, or I should say recalibrated expectations based on who is playing. Sure, LeBron is great. He's also going to be 40 years old. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. You don't have really much talent, skill, cohesion outside of those two guys to fill around them on the roster. This, honestly, realistic expectations for this Lakers team should be just making the playoffs. Forget about winning a round, just getting to the play-in and winning 1 or 2 play-in games to be one of the 8 teams come actual postseason time. But yet, if that's what JJ Redick does 2 years in a row, he's going to be fired. And I think one of the biggest signs of a dysfunctional organization is having unrealistic expectations because you are not accounting for what this team is, which is not very good. And so that's the reality right now of the Lakers. They check all 4 boxes. No leadership, no plan, no control, unrealistic expectations. They are the old school Knicks. They are as dysfunctional as could be right now. It's an embarrassment. They are an embarrassment. And I think forget just the hiring of Redick. I think this entire coaching process really brought all of that to light. I don't see how you can look at this organization right now and believe going forward that they are putting themselves in the best position to succeed. They are giving JJ Redick a chance at success, and they know what they're doing. I can't sit here right now and tell you the Lakers know what they're doing. Forget me saying that. Someone who knows this organization inside and out, Anthony Irwin, he was on the JR Sport Brief show this week. He was the first man, actually, to report that Redick has been hired by the Lakers. He has been in on this really since the ground level. He has been tremendously sourced, and he was right about the Redick hiring. Anthony Irwin was on with JR earlier this week, and he basically highlighted the Lakers have lost their way.
While Rob Pelinka has been making these decisions, he has had to fire Luke Walton. He fired Frank Vogel, and then he just fired Darvin Ham. And now he's getting ready to potentially hire a podcaster for their next head coach who has 0 coaching experience in the NBA. And I think just generally speaking, Lakers fans are just kind of looking at this organization that has provided them with a whole bunch of success. What is the deal? For a long time, you knew that the Lakers were always going to be in the playoffs, and they were always going to be vying for a championship. And you could always feel like they were among the higher operating franchises in the NBA, and you just can't quite say that about them right now.
No, you can't. I think Anthony is spot on. This team has lost its way. They have no idea what the hell they're doing. And you look, if you're a Lakers fan right now, Rob Pelinka, you can't have any belief that this guy knows what he's doing. The Lakers, I would say, are one of the most dysfunctional organizations in all of the NBA. And this coaching search, forget just the hiring of JJ Redick. Forget that for a second. Put that aside. This entire process of how they got there, Ty Lue, Dan Hurley, back to JJ Redick ultimately to hire a guy with no experience whatsoever now, expecting him to elevate this Lakers team better than what Darvin Ham could do. This Lakers team is the most dysfunctional team in the NBA.